what I did in my backyard. I learned about permaculture from the general gardening community, and then I decided I would like the Arboretum, where I'm artist in residence, to put in a permaculture garden so that the general public could learn about it. But I'm not a permaculturist. I just wanted to learn more about permaculture, and I wanted the public to learn about it. So it took a few years. The Arboretum said I could do it, but I didn't have the right person until I met Caitlin Bergman. And Caitlin's a permaculturist, and I know she's taught some of the people here. And she loved my idea, and so together she's the lead designer, I'm co-designer. Davey's here, Davey worked on it. There you are, yeah. It was a group effort. I'm the person who interacts with government agencies, and they get fooled. They think that because I have purple hair and I dress like a clown, that they don't have to worry. They have to worry. But it has worked in different countries. It's worked in this country. It's worked in a number of bureaucracies, and I think I'm going to keep it going. So at the Arboretum, where they just thought we would put in a little few succulents to go into the gift shop, we did the Permasphere, and some of you have seen that, some of you haven't. If you haven't, go and have a look at it. It's a water harvesting garden. It is the only reason that the LA County Arboretum is in compliance with the county requirements for zero runoff. The only reason. So now, suddenly, the purple-haired clown is important to the picture. So, having done it there, I decided to try it in my own backyard and see what I could do. So, my backyard, I have a 2-story house and 2 lots. This is my back lot, and I had some bamboo takeover. I had a lawn because I had kids and volleyball, and I had a fruit orchard. And I had a deodar leaning over the house. All right. So there's the deodar that was leaning over the house, and here's the rampant bamboo. I also had herb and vegetable gardens, but that deodar was leaning. And we're on a fairly steep hill in Altadena, so the tree had to come out. So you actually see my friend Rafa up there beginning to bring the tree down. All right, we also had the problem of the wall that was here was so close to the house that you kind of walked past like this, and we kept trash cans back there. So we kicked the wall, the earth back about 6 feet, excavated, and began building urbanite walls. I did use mortar on these because I knew I was going to have to deal with the county. And over 3 feet, then you're going to, or even at 3 feet, you're going to have to deal with the county. So I'm not as brave as Marco Barantes, and I don't have a degree in engineering, so I used mortar. But it's legal. And now you guys can do it too. It is legal. You can get this through the county, unless you don't want to, which is all right too. Okay. So I wanted what's called the floating stairs that kind of to define the entire area. I knew I had this incline. I knew I wanted to store water in these retaining walls. And so I began with my staircase helping me to define the tiers. Right? So there it's starting to go up, and it's starting to look good, and people are coming by and saying, "Oh, that's not awful." This is really encouraging. Yeah, it's not awful, let's keep going. So let's go. All right, we're now at the top row. I use using on-site materials. I had a lot of rock because we're up on the mountain, and we sorted it out. So I have 2 tiers of urbanite and 1 tier of existing on-site rock. to create the third layer so that this is a level area up here. And it had been a lawn, it had been a volleyball court. So now I want to bring in, off the side road, Mount Curve Avenue, canals to bring in, or swales to bring in water. Now, I called the county, and the county said, we don't allow that. That's not, don't even say curb cuts to us. So I said, okay, I want to do this, and what do I have to say to get it? We all know that it's going to change. We're not going to continue letting rainwater go away when we need it. We're not going to keep killing other ecosystems. Is it going to change on your watch? Do you have children? Okay, so they kicked me up to the top guy in LA County, and that's what I said to him. I said, we know it's going to change. In 20 years, people are going to look back at this as the dark ages. Is it going to change on your watch? And he said, well, what is it you want to do? And I said, I want curb cuts. I want to harvest water. And he said, but you say curb cuts and it makes us nervous. That's our infrastructure. I said, okay. He said, do you have to call them curb cuts? And I said, I would call them Tinkerbell's wings. He said, well, I could let you have Parkway drains. I said, I'll take Parkway drains. I'll call them Parkway drains. How many Parkway drains can I have? And he said, well, I can let you have 3 at 4 inches each. And I said, Parkway drains? Everyone in LA is entitled to Parkway drains. If we are foolish enough to put our property below grade, then water's going to come in instead of go out. I'll take it. I'll take the Parkway drains. So, Parkway drains. So, they don't know. I actually have 3 swales. They know I have 3 holes in the curb. 2 of my swales are managed swales. They have cutoff valves on them, so I can shut the water off, and I can manage that, and I'm not going to flood the neighborhood. But 33 inches of rain last year, and I did not flood the neighborhood. Instead, let me show you what I did. Okay, now these contractors do not have a clue as to what is going to happen. They said, we are not responsible for this. And I said, no, I'll take it, it's mine. So follow my instructions and let's go. Okay. Whoops. Oh, that's what it looks like now. Let's go past that. Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Uh-oh, somehow we jumped to the end.
Did we?
Oh, no. Okay, we want to be, okay, I'm sorry. We did put some teasers in there. We're down on, we should be on 7 or 8 right now. Okay, here now we're putting up this top area, the rubble. There's my Rottweiler, and he is keeping an eye on everything. Now these contractors have no clue, and they're constantly saying, what do we do, what do we do? And okay, now they knew how to keep it level. They knew how to excavate what I asked for. I asked for 3 feet deep and 2 feet wide. I've since extended it another foot down because I love this water. All right, let's go. Now the staircase is going up, and there you can see the top level, and the tractor's up there digging the swales. Here's my swale, 3 feet deep, 2 feet wide, and then a berm to the south side of it. For every foot high that you go, you should go 3 feet wide on a berm for stability, and with this amount of water coming in and the weight of it. Right? So now it's their swale number 1, swale number 2, and down here where you can't see it, and neither can Public Works, is swale number 3. Okay. So as a test run now, we're going to fill the swales with water, and we just put brush in to keep the dog out and test it. So we filled it. There's water. It took about 2 hours to fill, by which we were able to gauge the amount of water. And I have a sandy loam, and it percolated in wow, it's gonna work. Here's leftover wood, not leftover wood, but wood used from the deodar that came down.
Did you test it with the hose or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So 2 hours with a hose, but I can fill it in a storm in 20 minutes. Yeah. So now we've got the hardscape in, the swales are there, the berms are there, and now we're gonna mulch. And Tim Dundon's mulch, Tim is my hero. And I've used Tim's mulch for 30 years. So I want a commercial for the best mulch in the world. Tim Dundon's mulch, $50 for a load. And music is free. All right, so I use a lot of natives. John Lyons is at this point, John Lyons was not my landscaping partner. He was a landscaper that I hired to work with me. He didn't understand what I was trying to do with the berms and swales, but he was open to it. And so we used a lot of natives to bring in the pollinators. And there's John, Irish cowboy, who's my landscaping partner now. After we did this one, we won first place in California Contractors for Xeriscape. Go figure. We use all the water in the world, but we're Xeriscape. We now design together for the last year and a half, very happily. So we're putting in fruit trees and natives. We got a lot of slides. You have to go a little faster. The guard dog, he's keeping a watch on everything. Okay, the fruit trees are in. Now, I had an existing avocado tree. I had an existing grapefruit, and that's a pittosporum. So for Dave Jackie fans, that was his biggest. He said, "Oh, that works. Check. I need to make notes on that." So the fact that the pittosporum worked with the grapefruit was of greatest interest. So good thing to remember. That's gills.
Why pittosporum and grapefruit?
Because that tree is obviously thriving. It's producing massively, and it's adjacent in the canopy of the pittosporum. So that's a win-win situation. It's working. So you make note of that, because other things like the grapefruit, that would indicate that other citrus trees would grow in conjunction with pittosporum. That's his work. It's the edible forest books.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with his work.
Okay.
I was just
Yeah.
curious.
It was great to have him come and critique the garden. Okay, the dog is still checking it out. The mulch is down. This is hard for me to believe. This is 17 months ago. I had mulch, concrete, and little tiny plants. Right. Okay, now there are logs in the swales. The leafy material is taken out, and it's beginning to rain. The swale is filled, and that's actually wet from rain, and I'm standing there waiting for it to go. The stairs are wet. Okay, we have a test. Who knew I'd get 33 inches of year on the 33 inches of rain on the first year? But I did. We all did. Here it comes. There's Mount Curve. There's the water coming down the hill. There are Parkway Drain. Tinkerbell's Wing. And I am ever so grateful to that county employee who actually stepped outside of the box. So here we go. The water's going, and how do you get the water to make right turns? You put bricks. So my engineering is to put a brick, and that brings the water into, I don't even have my PVC lines in there yet. It's just holes in the concrete. And it rained, and it's working. There goes the water shooting through the valves. Do not use PVC. We didn't know that we could get anything in a 4-inch valve other than PVC. You can get brass, and it's actually cheaper than PVC. So thank you for the reminder about plastic. This is really valuable knowledge. You don't spend the money on that, because then you're going to take it out and put something nice like brass in anyway. Okay, there goes the water rushing down the hill and the bricks putting it in, and now you can see my little PVC in there. The swales are filling. This is free water coming to me. I'm high on the hill. I don't worry too much about pollution, but I let the water go past and kind of cleanse the drain before I start filling the swales. Ta-da! My first free water. 35,000 gallons of free water last year. Okay, let's go. Let's see everything that can work. There it is, all working. This swale is filling, that swale is filling. The secret swale, which doesn't have a shutoff, fills and overflows and goes into my lower garden. I'm sorry if I'm blocking you. Okay. Oh, the worst thing that could possibly happen. The swale blew out in one of those massive, that's my drip system for the trees to get them established during the first 2 years. The system blew out and overflowed. Fortunately, I have a weir, just mounds of stone that redirect that water to my avocado tree. And if it doesn't reach, if it goes past the avocado, it goes down the stairs and goes into my pond. And if it goes into my pond, it goes into the standpipe and goes into my lower garden. So there's no runoff, even if I have a mistake. Now this is what was most important in talking to Public Works, because after I did this, Public Works asked me to come in and talk to them about two things, about the science I thought I was using and how I got through their red tape. And so I found out that they didn't want to stop other people. They indeed want to help people do this, and so I'm now collaborating with Public Works, and they use this internally. Yes. Yes. Okay, it's dark. I'm going out and checking my swales in the middle of the night. I confess. All right, look at the mushrooms popping up all over the place. So Paul Stamets' work, mycelium running, what we want is this mulch layer. We want the moisture and we want the mycelium, the roots of the mushrooms, carrying water laterally and carrying nutrients back and forth between the plants. We got it. Oh, things are sprouting everywhere. Everything grows, including the mushrooms. Right?
Did you spread any spores beforehand, or that's
No.
natural?
Tim Dundon, Tim Dundon. All right. Now, after we did our plantscape, I broadcast seeds from the Theodore Payne Foundation, the California Rainbow Mix. I got elegant Clarkia. I've actually planted the Achillea, but that's a dynamic accumulator. The poppies, and that was last year. I have so many wildflowers this year that you can't walk through my yard. It is heaven. It is just heaven. Okay? Oh yeah, it's heaven. There's gadishas and, oh yeah. The poppies are everywhere. Elegant Clarkia. Apriums. Oh, they were so good. That's the first year it had a crop. I put glass. I'm a glass artist, so I put glass everywhere. Oh, this was out an on-site plant that grew because of soil moving. This is Phacelia grandiflora. Beautiful plant. And echinacea and I use it for basketry. I can't think of the name right. Juncus textilis. Poppies and cheap bookends from the junk store, but they look great in the garden. This is my work. It's not cheap. Costs a lot, but it's in the garden too. You don't have to stay on that. And I made myself a throne. This is the Queen of the Bees throne. That's the tree trunk from the deodar that I had to cut down. And so I made it into a throne, and it looks across at my beehives. All right, it is all working. Okay, so now I'm going to do the lower area with lasagna mulching and more of Tim Dundon's material. Oh, everything's just growing like crazy. This is, things are shooting up. This is my vegetable garden area. I'm sorry, we're kind of warping through. This is the vegetable garden area. And more art in the garden with the squash going crazy. And the dog keeping an eye on everything. Okay, this is my overflow area. If the upper swale overflows, it goes into the weir around the avocado. If the lower area overflows, it goes into these pavers, which are cheap, the cheapest pavers you can get at a Home Depot, and with just gravel in between. And I almost had to fight with the contractor to get him to put them down, and I finally convinced him I was going to color them all when he was done. And then when they were all done, and he stopped looking at it as something that was supposed to match, and he came back, he said, "Oh, you did a really good job on this." And he didn't realize that nothing had changed at all. This is what it looked like the first summer. So from November of 2010 to June 2011. So there's fruit trees, everything's growing. The orange crop was unbelievable. And if we stop here for a second, I have 3 avocado trees, so I have avocados 9 months a year. I have 2 peaches, 3 plums, 2 nectarines, guavas, Japanese persimmons, nectarine, I did the nectarines, apriums, 2 apriums, because I love them so much, a pluot, 3 different pomegranates, 4 different kinds of figs, 3 kinds of tangerines, 2 kinds of oranges, almonds, grapes. There's a lot of food out there. There's a lot of food out there.
You don't use any water from the, it's all based on your rainwater?
Right now, I do water the veggies over here. And today I did go out and water in this area, but it doesn't look like this anymore. We got to keep going so I can show you what it looks like now. Yeah. So that's from standing on my roof so that you get a sense of the flow. All right, and now what we've got is that density is everywhere. Keep going. So this was a month ago. The Phacelia is now done, and the California poppies are died back. And the Phacelia attracts bees like crazy. There's my beehives. More Phacelia. John takes pictures of bees like other people. This is we call garden porn. That's what kind of intense. That is that little 5-gallon fruit tree that was planted 17 months ago. It is more than 14 feet tall, has a nice crop on it. That's a double, red baron. The Aquilegia, just Phacelia. Apple blossoms. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention apples. The black-eyed Susan is just beautiful color in the garden. Nasturtiums everywhere. And sunflowers they're everywhere. And there's the water. This actually is a video, but we don't need to watch it as a video. Is water flowing down that street that would be, and that's what my backyard looked like one day last week.
It's beautiful.
The swales? The swale? No, you plant around the swale. The water infiltrates in the swale. But it also, the swale is all the way back over here, and this orange tree has sent its roots over there to get the water. I have them, I've never used them. I just like hand watering so that I really want the tree to get stressed before I water it, and then I want to deep water it so those roots are really going down. Now what I have learned this second year with much less rainfall, I think we had 12 inches this year, what I learned is that when in Los Angeles we have what is called a storm event or a rain event, they often dump water from, so if we have a storm this week and a storm comes next week, all the storm basins are full and the holding tanks are full, they dump water in order to catch the new water that comes as a management technique. And guess who gets to get that water? Anybody who's got parkway drains. And so I can harvest that water and I can harvest the rain. Or I can harvest that water, shut off my swales, and go party.
When you say they let it out, meaning that it's running off the streets and you catch it from the streets when they're running it out?
Yes, for years I thought that people were cleaning their swimming pools.
Oh, okay.
It never occurred to me to scoop the water up and smell it until I started doing this. So when I saw water running down the street in winter and it didn't make sense that anybody was cleaning their pool, I smelled it and it's clean water, and I tasted it and it's clean water, and open those valves and bring it in. So there's a few more pictures because this was a month ago, and people who were there a month ago don't recognize it today. It grows that much because there is so much water that has penetrated underground.
So I have a question then. So all of your swales are
That's
up on
what
the
it
top
looks like
level?
this week. All of my swales what?
Are they all on the top level and then the water penetrates down to all the
And
lower
because we're on
levels?
an incline, it's moving down the hill that way. Yeah, that's 1 month's worth of growth from that previous photo to this one is 1 month's worth of unirrigated growth. And apricots, artichokes, beautiful iris. And oh, you can see all the wildflowers in that one. They're everywhere.
So Leigh, the wildflowers are really important to attract the
I believe that
beneficial-
it assists with the pollinators, right? It's why I have crops on these trees that are so young. There's no reason to expect them to produce.
So do wildflowers only have a season like springtime, or do they grow all year round?
There's some that grow all at all different times. Generally, if they have a longer season, we don't call them wildflowers. So like Salvia spathacia, you would call a California native, but it's a wildflower. It's just that it lasts longer, so we have a different terminology for it. There's the apples are starting to grow, the tons of grapefruit. The Japanese persimmon is covered with fruit. All the wildflowers are growing just from water in the soil. Those are actually sweet peas. Nectarines, they had a bad windstorm, it kind of bruised them up, but there's a full crop of nectarines for a new tree. John's business is called the Woven Garden. So each time we do a garden, I do a mosaic that has something. So for John, it's fruits and vegetables. And each of our gardens, that's our signature on the garden, is the mosaic.
End of the show.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like how much maintenance is required to maintain that huge property that you've got? Like how many people are maintaining it? How often do you have to go out there?
I work full-time or more. There is so little to do in the way of maintenance. I was out there yesterday morning and was like, oh my goodness, I need to remove the dead phacelia and shake the seeds around for next year. And I just put them over into the compost area. And that's it. That's it. It is because there's no straight rows, nobody knows what's supposed to be where anyway. And the more flowers there are, the better it looks, and the happier everyone is. And
So some of us feel like we're not able to do gardening because we don't have the green thumb. Do you think it's necessary to have a green thumb to be able to have a garden?
I do not. I think you want a brown thumb. I think you want mulch. Mulch will do most of the work for you. It's cardboard, putting down cardboard, suppressing the weeds. Stop throwing your water on the lawn. If you're not using the grass for something, you don't need it. And you instead of digging it out and destroying the soil organisms that actually are there living and working, put cardboard down, put mulch on top of it, and plant where, maybe add some soil in there where you want to plant things. If you're planting fruit trees, you want to dig down and give them a good root base. But generally, most of my stuff was planted pretty much near the top, I mean, on top of the cardboard. I make a hole in the cardboard so it can get down there, but cardboard and mulch do my work for me. I haven't had to pull a lot of grass. Tim Dundon's mulch is the bedding straw from the stable. So it's filled with urine, nitrogen, and manure. So you've got all your nutrients there. The cardboard is protecting the living plants from that very hot mix. And as it breaks down the cardboard and feeds your soil. Because it's wood chips, manure, and urine, you get a long release rather than a fast release like chemical fertilizers.
Where do you get this mud?
Call Tim Dundon and beg.
Or if you live here, there's
So
a lot
he
of...
lives here? Or?
well,
stable.
Write the name down if you want.
Yeah, I will.
we killed all of
It's a
our
steep-
grass with the same method, and we have horse stables close by.
Wherever there's a horse stable,
Yeah.
but not a racing stable. And the reason why is racing stables use drugs on their horses. You want a good riding stable, and they take excellent care of their horses, and it's free. So what I do is I take my pickup truck, when I can't get Tim to come, I take my pickup truck, I put a tarp in it, I put 15-gallon fruit tree tubs in it, and if Tim's available and just not delivering, he'll take a scoop and fill it. And otherwise, I will stand there with a shovel and I'll fill one bucket at a time and put it in, and it's free. And it's the best there is.
And you also do wheatgrass instead of grass. White grass.
Right, I would, just at this point, because I haven't done any chemical test, any soil testing on it, I would not be doing that with harvested water unless it came off my roof. I wouldn't take water in from the street. I'm not using harvested water on root crops, but I might someday. I'm living proof that you could eat the fruit and vegetables grown with it and thrive. And I think maybe even Davy and Chris have thrived also. There is no evidence that pollutants travel into those foods. Root crops are different. Potatoes or carrots or parsnips, things like that. You might worry about beets, carrots. Any other questions?
The wood that you had as soils, is that there for a specific reason? Or
It's art.
it was just from the tree.
It's like, okay, if you want a piece of Andy Goldsworthy's work, it's going to cost you $500,000. But if you fill your swales with logs, every time it rains, they move around and they make patterns. Gorgeous.
Okay.
But actually what it does is that it keeps the walls of the swale from falling in. It keeps people out. And as it breaks down, it turns your soil to a fungally rich soil rather than a bacterially rich soil. And that supports the growth of the fruit trees. Which is why you're seeing that extraordinary, to go from a 6-foot tree to a 14-foot tree that's produced 2 crops in 17 months is, I've been growing all my life. I have never seen anything like that. Not black walnut. They say that you shouldn't use the cedar because of the chemicals in the cedar, but it didn't affect mine any at all. Not at all. So some things we probably, one of the things I think that we can do is make mistakes. Try. It's much better than the big mistakes that we're all making right now by buying water and killing this Colorado River, by destroying the Owens Valley. We as taxpayers are paying more than $20 million a year to suppress the dust in Owens Valley. That's what we pay for. And then we pay for the water on top of it. We're paying a lot, and alternative economies are the answer. We've got to break out of the paradigm that we're in right now, where we have this little bit on the top and all this down on the bottom. We have to flip that. We are the people, and we need to come out on top.
What's the dimension of the swell?
Pardon?
What's the dimension?
I started with 3 feet deep and 2 feet wide, and I've gone to 4 feet deep.
Like, how big is the swell itself?
The length, I have one that's 20, pardon?
Just where the water finally settles.
That is it. The water
Okay.
comes through that, and then it percolates into the ground. There's no cistern or storage tank, and the 3 swales together filling one time is about 2,200 gallons, and during one storm they fill many times. No. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I don't spend a lot of time out there. I'm at work most of the time.
Would it be like in a big stainless steel thing?
I would absolutely be using a stainless steel collector and storage. Yeah.
And maybe cheese and lactose?
Why? So you can filter that out. That's not what you want to worry about in the rain. Yeah. Yeah. Rainwater's good.
You work at the Arboretum?
I'm the artist in residence at the Arboretum, and I am staging a show right now. I actually, in my self-appointed role of dealer with bureaucracies, I got LA County to allow us to take the more than 230 trees that blew down in the storm, and instead of grinding them up into mulch and putting them into piles and letting it rot, I have more than 100 artists that are taking that wood and carving it, and doing a show in November 30th, December 1st and 2nd at the Arboretum, and those pieces will be sold, and we'll buy new trees that teach the people of Los Angeles about the trees they can have.
There's only the one Arboretum.
Yeah, yeah. 301 North Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah. check it out. You want to see the permasphere? And because of the permasphere, they have now put in a cistern system in the new Garden for All Seasons. And they still can't break out of straight lines. It just makes them crazy. So if you come to the Arboretum on Tuesday, ask for me and I'll give you the rock star tour.
Thank you.